heart attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful laws and past. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember you're discreet now, get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before I do begin, I have been thinking about this series a lot today, and I flipped a coin, which, as many people would know if they've been around my channel long enough, means this series is about to change dramatically. Now, the coin decided how things would go, and I'm going to be disconnecting this series further away from the canon timeline. And that does mean many things have happened. Now, with that being said, we last had Melissa Shield in her 3rd year of UA, where a lot will happen for her. Now, the gist of it is basically this is what happens. She does still go through her 3rd year sports festival. She gets seen on TV, and a lot of people do recognize her as a new form of hero. And you do then have Ida, who is sadly still murdered in this timeline. And you actually do have Melissa, who the pro hero she's internshipping with, they actually get assigned to a task force specialized to take down Stain. Now, Melissa and this task force, they were successful. And you do actually then have All Might, who, after one of his students died in UA, he decided to pull Melissa aside and talk to her, as today he would offer her one for all once again. Now, Melissa, yeah, she does talk to All Might, and after, well, talking with Izuku as well, All Might would pass on his quirk to her. Now, with that being said, UA was still attacked, just like in canon. Asui and Mineta died against Shigaraki, the whole shebang. 3 students died for Class 1A. And then there was, well, a few things that did change. The fight between All Might and All For One never happened. The fight between Overhaul and the heroes still has yet to happen, as Melissa would go through her entire hero school and graduate, as she's been secretly training to try and learn and master One For All. Now, it was quite strange, and we do have our new pro hero, Melissa Shield, or as many people have referred to her by, the Sword Maiden. Now, I'm aware, before someone says that's from Goblin Slayer, I'm stealing that because it's a sick-ass name. Also because what else would you really call her? I mean, seriously. I don't even think I actually showed off her hero costume, or even made one for her. I guess, well, Sword Maiden, so she doesn't bleed blood whenever she's cut, so wearing white actually would be just for aesthetic. Anyways. Yeah, let's just say she wears a pure white dress with armor, and yeah, that's really all she has. Anyways, now, we will actually cut over to Melissa, who she's currently meditating on the beach, and she's trying to focus with Excalibur. As Midoriya, he actually does sit directly in front of Melissa whenever she does open her eyes. As Midoriya is using Melissa to astral project her power into a form he can somewhat inhabit, since he himself just has to try and focus his own magical power. Melissa standing directly across from the blade, as Midoriya does ask her if she really does believe that taking on One for All, as she does call it, this quote-unquote quirk, was the best option. To which she does explain, telling Izuku that she does believe so, and that if it does boost her physical prowess, then that does mean that she will get stronger. And then there's the fact that with this blade, she will basically be unstoppable. To which Midoriya, he would bring up his hand and tell Melissa that she needs to curve that habit right there. Habit? Yes. You see, you're taking on power. A lot. I understand that you were quirkless as you explained to me. However, the power of my sword, it is dangerous. Along with that power you've just been given months ago. You are human. Keep that in mind. You were not meant to have certain powers. Do you understand? Yes, I understand, Izuku, but no buts. You either understand there are limitations to your physical form, or you die before you realize your mistake. Do you get it? Now, this would be where the quote-unquote hologram of Midoriya would stand up and tell Melissa to rise. Now, Melissa would do so, as Midoriya does tell her that he wants to see her try to summon the spirit animal. If she's still focused on that, instead of that little quirk she's so worried about. Yes, Master. Do not call me that. Izuku is fine. Yeah, alright. Now, Melissa would then go to bring her hands up, as she smashes them together and closes her eyes, as her body begins to bleed a blue aura all around her. And Midoriya, he does look at it, since it looks like a giant flame, and it does make him wonder. As he does see it, the aura forming behind her does take form, and it does show off its creation. Once the quote-unquote smoke does clear, there does sit a giant wolf, and Melissa, she would stare at it, kind of surprised, as this hologram of Arthur, quote-unquote, would walk up to her and tell her to look behind her, since she feared it did not work. Now, Melissa, she's taken aback, since out of her heroic spirit, there is a flesh and blood animal that has just appeared before her. A giant, fluffy wolf. And she's absolutely losing her mind, not realizing exactly what this power was meant to do. Now, Midoriya, he would somewhat laugh, informing Melissa that she has done it. Now, Melissa does not understand, as Midoriya would tell her that she's created her animal, her familiar as he would call it. And this familiar that she does hold is something she cannot simply get rid of easily. Now, this is whenever Melissa, she does actually receive a phone call, interrupting her training with Midoriya. As the moment Melissa, she does realize she needs to get to this place to stop this from happening, yeah. The wolf simply does go to snatch her up and pick her up, flinging her up in the air as she does have to grab onto its back once she does land. And it does just take off running. Now, there you do have Melissa, who she's riding on top of a giant wolf, trying to gain her bearing as she's holding her sword. And she's trying to order it to slow down. Now, she does hear Midoriya's voice in her head, talking about how the wolf is a manifestation of her spirit, and that holding focus is how you give it orders. Now, people do see Melissa riding on top of this giant animal, and many are perplexed to even see it, since whenever the wolf was trying to make its way through a busy street, it just jumped on top of a wall and started running on the side of a building. People didn't even know that an animal could do that, let alone get that large. Now, eventually Melissa does arrive, as we do cut to the scene, where bank robbers, they're using their quirks to try and get money. And well, currently a man is holding a giant fireball directly to the person in his arm, explaining to them that they're going to die if he doesn't get this much money right now. Now, this would be where the other bank robbers, they're either using firearms or quirks that they can use for offensive abilities. And well, the one who's currently holding this hostage, yeah. He gets distracted whenever he hears a giant howl, and he turns to look away, as somebody does slip through the floor and jump up. This being the pro hero Lemillion, him reaching out his hand and immediately grabbing the hostage, as he does go to throw his hand forwards and through their body, creating it solid behind them as he does punch directly into the robber. As Lemillion, he phases the person through and jumps back into the ground, as the robber was caught off guard. He doesn't even know what happened. The moment he turns his head back, he does go to throw out a fireball and take out civilians, as we do actually have Melissa, who she does come barreling through the window, as she does bring her hands up with her sword and slices this fireball directly in half, as it disperses into the air. And many people do comment that it's the Shield Maiden. Now, Shield Maiden, the Sword Maiden, my bad. Now, this is where the man, he does comment on how he's heard of her before, and that she really can't be all. This being where, well, through the same window, the giant wolf does bust through, as he does tear apart parts of the foundation surrounding the window. And he quickly does make work of these bank robbers, him running around and smashing into them, as he either does stomp on them with his large feet and paws, or he just picks them up and swings them into a wall. Now, imagine a giant dog playing with tiny chew toys. It's basically that. Now, eventually the bank robbers are taken down, and you do actually have Melissa, who, after talking with Mirio, he's surprised to find out about this new part of her quirk, as he does want to know more. Now, yeah, Melissa does try to explain it to him. She has no idea where this came from. She woke up this morning and this thing was laying at the foot of her bed. Now, Mario does kind of find that hard to believe. Since, well, it just doesn't sound right. It sounds like she found this thing and she raised it. But hey, weirder things have happened, so he's not really too sure. Now, we do actually then have where Melissa, yeah, she tries to head back to her apartment, and well, it's not easy. She does try to talk to Arthur about exactly how to de-summon this wolf. And Arthur, he does give her an explanation. She simply has to try to curve her spirit downwards whenever she does look at this creature. And that should solve her problem. Now, she does attempt to do this, letting her heroic spirit flow throughout her body as she does stand there in front of it. And she does hold out the blade, as she tries to force her spirit out of the wolf. Now, that does not work out very well, and the wolf does get larger, as she does go through trial and error, until one time where she does drop the sword and let it go, putting it back in its sheath as she does try to talk to this giant creature. Now, she does look up at it, since it's already gotten to be that large. Now, she's trying to explain to it exactly what's going to happen, as she brings her hands up and she does feel its fur. It's soft. Now, a bit of fangirling later and her basically freaking out that it's a giant fluffy puppy, it does shrink a bit. Since all that idea of fighting and taking people down, yeah, that just got curved and started going down, 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 as it just started to shrink. Now, eventually Melissa was able to hold the dog, or the wolf, in one of her arms, since it got to be that small, as she had carry it inside and try to think about what's going to happen. How is she going to explain to All Might that this little creature right here, it came from a sword? Izuku, do you have any ideas? Just tell him the truth. Your heroic spirits. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna buy that. I'm a talking sword. And you think a dog being summoned from a sword is the thing he won't believe. Shut up, first off. Second, I agree with you. Third, how did this even happen? Magic. Is that your answer to everything? Yes. How the TV works? Magic. How the radio works? Magic. Anyway, guys, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day. Catch you guys in the next part.